Welcome to the full experience, where myself, Tom Merritt, and Brian Brushwood experience a television series by watching just 4 episodes. We watch the first, the ultimate, the lowest, and the last. The ultimate is either the highest rated episode by IMDb rating, not by Nielsen rating, the highest rated episode, or if the premiere or the finale are the highest rated, it's the second highest rated. This gives us a view into a series that's different than any other view and allows us to experience a bunch of different series that we'd never have time to experience otherwise. So we are going to watch or talk about watching 712, the second highest rated, therefore it's our ultimate episode of The Shield, Possible Kill Screen, which first aired November 17th, 2008. I'm Tom Merritt. You are Brian Brushwood.
Yeah, dude, I got to be honest. Part of the reason we're so excited to be doing this full experience is to get the perspective of our producer, Amos. Amos, do you want to jump in early on this one? Because
sure.
you came in with the pilot a wee bit off kilter and confused as to why we were fans of the show.
And we took you almost all the way to the end of the series. 712, if I didn't mention it, is the second to last episode.
Yep.
Yeah. And again, just for context, if anybody hasn't seen it, the primary issue in the very first episode, the pilot, is setting up the fact that our protagonist is a corrupt cop. Amos correctly pointed out the shared DNA with Training Day, the subversion of stereotypes or traditional tropes. And we get to, the big question is, how is it going to end for Mackie? And I guess before we hear Amos's take, I will say, Tom, I was stunned by that old, familiar, twisted knot in my stomach of discomfort that I was like, oh, that gasping for air, choking feeling of how is he going to walk his way through this and thread yet another needle. That was what that show mainlined week after week after week. It was incredible. The Mexican standoffs just got more and more guns out. It was just like, I don't know how he's going to sleep at night.
I will say that I started this episode mad because the little during the previously on, which typically for full experience I don't watch, but knowing we were at the very end, I felt I owed it to myself to at least have some kind of clue what was going on. I watched it and I was about halfway through the episode and I still didn't have any idea what was actually going on. I just knew that I missed something huge. And then when Mackie starts giving the
deposition,
the full accounting of all the things that he's done wrong, and he starts with the surprise ending of the pilot episode, I was like, holy crap, this in 2 episodes I've come full circle, and now it's just a matter of filling in the details.
You mean when Vic Mackey gave you the second previously on The Shield?
Yeah.
In case you missed the last 6.5 seasons, here's what happened.
Here's all the bad things I did. Yeah. Well, it's not all of them, but it's a lot of them.
Yeah.
I think they cut back to him 3 or 4 times where he's like, and then Lem got killed with a grenade, and then they were like, and then we shoveled all the money, we had to burn it, and that got the Armenians off our back.
It was fun because I was watching. I'd never heard any of this before either, so I was watching with the same intrigue as the lady he's confessing to.
Uh huh.
And I see the
probably the same
on
level
her
of
face,
disgust.
and I'm like, yeah.
Well, and there's the disgust, but also the like. You really need to get to that midnight meeting. So, you could wrap it up there. And he's like, oh, no effing way. I am not leaving you anything to hang me on. Not a bit. But also that
give you a specific amount of time, but you can tell he's been there for hours. And
yeah.
At the end of
clearly.
Because at the beginning, she's like, okay, well, you got a meeting. He's like, how much memory can that thing hold?
Yeah.
Well, and he's burning his partner the entire time.
The partner who is in his own crisis.
Yeah,
Gardaki.
Gardaki. Yeah, that's Steve Gordaki.
Yeah. Ronnie
Gordaki.
Which
there's a and there's
with the
no way to
drug-induced
telegraph
break-in and stuff.
What's that?
That was a whole nother twist with him and his wife covering for him as he goes into this scenario.
Oh, you're talking about Shane Vendrell. I'm talking about Mackey's partner, who he was like so insistent, like there's no deal if it's not for both of us, until his wife gets in trouble, and then he's like, "Well, my morals are flexible. I will burn Gardaki to the ground.
I'll burn everyone to the ground." He's even willing to burn himself to the ground as long as it gives him, because in the immunity plea, he's not looking at how is this covering me. He wants to know specifically where my wife is covered.
Yep.
So what was that like from your perspective? Was it like attending a going away party for somebody you've never met?
It honestly, it felt like reading the last couple chapters of a book that I the more I'm reading, because you read the first part of a book and then you're like, okay, well, I just need to know how it ends. This is not starting out right. And then you go to read the end of the book and you're like, oh crap, no, there's a bunch of stuff here that I really wanted to read about.
Yeah, you skipped Act 2, which was all of the Shield. It made me want to watch the show more, which is odd because I've basically seen how it ends. And the weird thing is, this is not the finale. This is the penultimate episode. It is as good as a finale. It gives you the information that feels like the close of the story, but you still have one episode left, which is rated higher than this episode.
Yeah.
So let's talk about the Shane and Mara aspect of
the Walton Goggins character.
That was the one that felt the most Training Day-ish, like terrified on behalf of Shane, a rather unlikable character who lacks the finesse of Vic Mackey, and by this point in the story, he's clearly on the run. He's clearly crossed the line. He's wanted by the cops, and Vic. I assume Vic. I'm trying to go with just what we see in this episode. I think a casual viewer would understand that Vic wants to see him dead, so he can't talk. And rat him out.
And did you even recognize Shane from episode 1?
Mm-mm.
Yeah,
like it is really hard to. Mackie was obvious. The some of the other characters I don't remember the name. Like the black lady that's like I thought was a straight shooter. Yeah, that I thought was a straight shooter in the first episode. It looks like she's still the straight shooter, even though she's clearly got more of a bend in this than she would ever have wanted to have.
She's now captain. She took Aceveda's role. Aceveda moved over to Justice where Mackie is. Yeah.
But you can tell like she still has that idealism, but then she also has she's not a black and white character either. She's got that gray area that she's writing, and she's angry beyond just losing a case. It's a personal vendetta. It's a personal thing for her. Yeah, it was interesting.
Well, it's always interesting when we jump so far ahead, how much doesn't feel weird. Because to me, a lot of the stuff felt like a short jump. Yeah, it was discombobulating to see Claudette in the captain's office and see Aceveda in a different place, and you're like, ooh, I wonder how we get here. If I hadn't watched everything, but then there was something like Dutch and Danny still having awkward flirtations, like. So I guess that went nowhere for 7 seasons, and they're still just doing that dance. And even the like, oh, it's good to see you back. You're like, oh, I guess she left for a while, which she did.
See, little things like that I barely even noticed, but I did notice that the character Mackie from episode 1 to episode next to last, same guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, clearly the same guy. Yeah, not a change.
There's no attitude change. It didn't look like he'd had a moral shift in the middle of the like he didn't do a Walter White.
He's got a moral code. It's just very flexible.
It's right, but you can see it's still the same character.
Yeah. Whereas Shane clearly got a lot more. I would say, Brian, that I didn't realize how small Shane was at the beginning compared to what he becomes, because going from episode 1 to this episode, if Shane's story felt like the one that I had the hardest time wrapping my head back around. It needs the bigger buildup. Whereas Vic's story, like you're saying, Amos, like, oh, you knew Vic was that guy from the beginning. So jumping from episode 1 to this is a direct line.
Well, and keep in mind that we see in the pilot, we see that it's both Shane and Vic who clearly are both in on and know the murder that, is the inciting event for the entire series. But over the course of those 7 seasons, we see kind of a responsible older brother and kind of a forgive the language, a dipshit younger brother dynamic with Vic and Shane, where it's like Shane's like, what? I'm just doing like you did. And it's like, no, but you can't do it like that. And obviously for Shane, it just is these miserable compounding issues. And in trying to clean up his own mess, he creates bigger messes. And it leads to just this despairing moment where it's like when he's doing speed and meth together in that room getting set up.
He's just trying to stay balanced.
Hey, Tom, I don't know if you've ever checked with any of your friends, but Speedballs never kept any of my friends balanced.
I beg to differ. Look at Shane. Oh, wait.
It's also wild how uncomfortable it made everything having Mara be pregnant. Like, I mean, there's a kid in a seat in the back of the car, and it's like, and they're doing what? Like, it's this desperate, and like, you would think just drive away or something, but it's like they clearly don't have the resources, and they just need gobs of money fast.
From my point of view, I saw the kid in the back seat. I didn't realize she was pregnant until after she like blows out her collarbone or whatever happens. Yeah. So it was, to me, it was tragic because, oh man, this is going on. Oh, she's hurt. Oh, there's more that's going to go on. And then, oh, you thought that was cool? Well, guess what? She's also pregnant. And I was like, well, okay. Well, thanks for the extra kick in the crotch. I needed that right now. That was tough. But added another layer to it that was, another layer to the surprise that was welcome, if also jarring.
Yeah. Well, so Tom, talk me through your experience with it. Did it live up to the memory for you, or how much of it was mainly oh yeah, I kind of remember that?
Well, like I said, the Shane part was the part that I had the hardest time wrapping my head around, and the Vic Mackey stuff was a direct line, and there were some fun little connections where I was like, oh, I guess some things never really changed over the course, and that kind of sums it up. It really felt like a finale. Granted, it ends with a few sheets still in the wind, right? Like, is he going to go to that meeting? Now that they know all of this stuff about him, what's going to happen in the next episode? Is he going to cut his partner loose? Yeah. What's going to happen with Ronnie? Is he going to be able to get Ronnie to assist him, knowing that there's no way he couldn't have burned him and got immunity, and there's no way he'd be doing this meeting if he hadn't got immunity? Like, how is he handling all that? But that feels so denouement when, after watching this episode. I think it's less about me trying to remember things to watch this episode and more about me trying not to remember what I know about how the next episode ends.
Yeah.
How about you? How did this one strike you?
I have to. I actually don't trust myself to talk too much, which is unfortunate given that it's our job to talk, because I don't want to tip anything for what happens next. But the big moment for me was just feeling like recognizing that gut wrenching feeling of feeling the noose tighten.
Yeah, I think Shane's story really fell a little flatter not having it built up. That was the part where I felt my attention wandering a little more. Whereas the Mackey story, as always through the entire Shield, rock solid, just riveting, like you said, gut wrenching and all of that.
Yeah.
I will say that in life, and especially in media, I'm the person that really hates when the obvious advice is not taken. Like, why did she go into the house?
Mm-hmm.
Under what circumstance is that the appropriate solution? I understand the human factor.
Sure,
Wait,
sure.
But
well,
no
because that was the
advisory.
plan, is like she might need backup, or he might need backup, and going in this, like they even established it with the phone call where it's like he got as close to saying, "Hey, this is a worrisome situation" as he could get.
Yeah.
So it didn't surprise me at all. And I mean, she straight up and was effective backup. She straight up went in and murdered a few people.
Yeah. Maybe overdid it. She's an overachiever.
Well, and it started out so professionally. Like she broke the window nice and quietly, reached in and unlocked the door, and came in and immediately shoots a lady in her underwear.
Yeah.
Well, and she, like they had established, like she's no professional. She's no criminal. This is not a Bonnie and Clyde thing. This is, I think she was like in real estate or something.
So when we talked about the pilot episode, you watched it with your wife. Did you watch this one alone, or did she watch with you this time?
Due to unforeseen flight scheduling, I ended up watching this one by myself. So
Gotcha.
I did not get her take on this one.
That's too bad. I'd be curious if the take changed. It might not have, but I'd be curious if it did at all.
Yeah, because she was not very interested in watching the rest of the season. I don't know if this episode would have swayed that, but I might ask her to watch it and then give me some feedback on it for me to share next week. But
no pressure either way. Any more thoughts on 7/12, season 7, episode 12, possible kill screen?
No, I will say I'm excited to see how it reads to go back in time at this, because essentially we have a trilogy and a weird intermission episode that we're going to go back to.
Yeah, we're going to get a flashback to season 4, episode 2. This is the lowest rated Shield episode, which is a 7.4 out of 10. So it's not low rated. It's the lowest rated of the Shield episodes.
Yeah.
And the log line is Vic agrees to quietly bring in a teenaged drug user before learning of his role in a deadly armed robbery.
I wonder if weirdly, this being what I assume is a fairly procedural, self-contained episode, I wonder if it lands better than either of the other two had.
That's exactly what I was wondering, Brian, is with this being the lowest rated, I can only imagine it doesn't further the story necessarily very much, maybe one or two little tidbits here or there, but it's not going to carry a big chunk of the story. How will that play out, having no context on either side of it other than, these two episodes that I've seen? It's going to be interesting.
We will watch that one and talk about it next time. Once again, if you're watching along with us, that's season 4, episode 2, Grave. If you want to get these episodes earlier than everybody else, become a patron at patreon.com/Cordkillers. We love each and every one of our patrons. They make this show possible. They make it possible for us to spend our time doing this experiment for you. So stick around for the next full experience, season 4, episode 2, Grave. Thanks for watching. Talk to you next time.
Oh, I'm not ready.